On, tragedy has unfortunately hit the family of 26-year-old Lagos banker Osemudi Amen Idemudia, who was found dead in a Yaba morgue days after being declared missing. Osemudi Amen worked in the point-of-sale department of a commercial bank in the Ikota area and was last seen on May 9th around the CMS area of Lagos. But his body has now been discovered just over the weekend, bearing multiple machete wounds to his head, his face, and his legs, a horrifying discovery that has left his family convinced that he was brutally murdered. Now, here's the kicker. A relative told reporters that the family had visited numerous hospitals and mortuaries before eventually locating his body, and they said that the morgue attendants claimed that police officers brought in the corpse but didn't say much about how, where, or why he was found. Osemudi Amen was laid to rest on Tuesday. Now his family is, of course, demanding answers and justice. And this has, of course, raised fresh concerns about the safety in the CMS area in Lagos, especially for commuters. When we talk about police reforms, it's important that our forensic capabilities of the Nigerian police take priority. Unfortunately, forensic science and our capabilities in Nigeria are not only underfunded, but also underused. A lot of our homicide investigations take place with little to no forensic input. Cases like this should not still be happening. With a DNA, autopsies, reconstructions, this should not be happening. Police reforms need to also prioritize forensic input. Let's take a look at some comments on social media. May his soul rest in perfect peace. At Ondofa Albert says, what is the name of the institution that he works for? When last was he seen at work? When did he leave? His last communication with his colleagues, the institution and fellow colleagues should be called in for questioning, and further investigation should proceed from there. Quite sad. The security in Nigeria is shameful. We'll take some more comments. Atunji Orekoya says, if the family wants to choose surrounding his death, they need to arrest the morgue attendants. Nobody, including the police, will drop a corpse in any morgue, private or public, without submitting his or her details and the details relating to the corpse. This is very, very morbid, team. God forbid, but imagine, just seeing your child the day before work, and then he goes missing. You declare him missing. A week later, machete wounds found on his face, his body. He was brutally murdered, and no one can give you answers. His family is saying that Nigerian police dropped his body off at the morgue, but they don't know where, anything other than that. Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very, very sad story that a member of your family will go out in the morning, and naturally you'll expect that he'll come back home, and he doesn't show up. When you find him, it's his corpse. It's really, really sad. Things like this have happened before, and somehow the story just ends halfway. Nobody can find out what actually happened to the person, and so on. For the morgue attendants, I believe that morgues have a record of things, situations like this where the police brings a corpse. It's supposed to be recorded. It's supposed the time it came and all that, the officer that brought it, and so on, so that investigations into the case will be easier. My heart goes to his family and everybody that is in his circle. It's really sad. And for several checkpoints on the road, go to the east by road. Before you get to Benin, you would have counted like 50 checkpoints. And that's when it is light. Then from Benin down, my brother, is like 150 before, let's say you're going to Port Harcourt. You see so many of them. Yes, do they extort? Are they there for security? I believe that good security is not as visible as that. It shouldn't be that visible, but very effective. That's my take.
Well, for this story, perhaps because of our peculiarities as a country, we decide to adopt these kinds of measures to check activities of criminally minded persons and all of it. But how much result has that given us? At the end of the day, we hear of extortion from these persons who mount these checkpoints. So there has to be some level of what exactly do we want to achieve with these checkpoints? Do we want to actually address security issues or we want to extort people. We need to separate it and then address things head on. At some points, it was cleared off. The government put in place measures that no police checkpoint should be seen. But at the end of the day, we began to see the resurgence of these checkpoints. But how much result has that brought us when we are talking about addressing our security challenges? I'll leave it there. Now, talking about the late Osemudiame, it's sad, and may he so rest in peace. May God condole and console the family at this trying time. Olamide, I tell you, when you go out of your house and you come back home safely, you must give thanks to God.
Absolutely.
Because of safety.
Absolutely.
No one can determine what happens. I know that police don't wield machetes, so I do not want to place the blame on the police as we speak, although I was not there, so I don't know what transpired. I know that the policemen we have don't wield machetes, so there must have been other things that could have transpired, and investigation has to go on, although we have limited information with regards to this killing. But like Etoma said, they should go back to the morgue and begin to ask questions. If those people need to be arrested, so be it.
I start by talking about the checkpoints. I remember in 2023, the IGP at the time, raised the ban, imposed the ban on checkpoints, especially illegal checkpoints that you find across the roads. In the morning, each time I'm going back home, most times I get to see some of them, on several roads, especially when you go to the mainland and you're going towards Ikorodu, you find some policemen there. You see commercial buses that are unruly on the road. They don't respect traffic laws and all of that. They do not say anything. Even at the time when we were still Article C. Going to the office in the morning, you see them obstructing the road, and they are not saying anything, but they are after private vehicles, private commuters. They're looking for Yahoo boys, so-called Yahoo boys, especially the youth that are driving their own cars or their father's cars. But those are their targets. They do not even look at people that are constituting nonsense on the road. So I think the police should revisit this and disband illegal checkpoints across our roads. Talk about the banker who was allegedly killed, macheted, and his body found in the morgue without proper data, proper information. What do we say about every one of us who wakes up in the morning, come into the office, early risers? Are you saying that our lives are not safe any longer in this country? So much should be done, because there's so many early risers. When you get to Lagos, does not even go to sleep. So when you wake up in the morning, you're seeing people, hustling and bustling has already started. It doesn't even stop. So please, let us shore up the security. Lagos State is doing so much when it comes to security compared to other states, but there is so much still left to be desired. So we need to, work on this and investigate this properly, ensure who have done this, and bring them to justice, please.
Absolutely. May his soul rest in perfect peace. But Emetoma, like you said, in the East, it is a commonplace to see about 50 checkpoints on a long stretch of road. But 50 checkpoints, 1K each, that's 50K. That's somebody's salary. Wahala.